Heyo!
Hey!
Welcome to This Must Be the Place. On this week's episode, we talk exclusively to the good doctor, DeWayne Davis. He's running for mayor of Minneapolis. And I would call it an interview, but it's just a conversation. It's a wide-ranging conversation. Thoughtful, insightful, a wonderful candidate for mayor, and we hope you as listeners get a lot out of it. And without further ado, we'll hop into that conversation.
This must be the place. Yeah, this must be the place. Ain't no time to waste. Ain't no time to waste. So whether you in Minneapolis or St. Paul, Bloomington to Maple Grove, from the east side to the west side, down south to way up north, let me hear you say, this must be the place. Yeah, this must be the place.
Welcome to This Must Be the Place. Today we have a special guest, Dr. DeWayne Davis, who is running for mayor of Minneapolis.
Yes.
So he has been gracious enough to give us some time to talk to us a little bit and talk to you a little bit about him and his policy plans and the future of Minneapolis and what that looks like. Yeah. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect, but hey, let's get going.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
We are going to ask you the same questions you've been asked 455 times by every other journalistic outlet.
I strive for uniqueness.
So, how'd you get into politics?
Well, I did want to ask, just so everybody can kind of get a baseline, where are you from originally and how did you end up in Minneapolis?
Okay, so that this podcast won't be "This is DeWayne's life." I'll try
No. Yeah, yes.
Try to get this.
We do preach brevity on this.
So I was born in Mississippi. I grew up in the Mississippi Delta.
Okay.
In one of the poorest counties in Mississippi. Sunflower County.
Okay.
I'm the 15th and youngest child of a minister and a kindergarten teacher.
Wow. I read that. That was a busy household, I would imagine.
I read that too, but I'm just saying wow, because it sounds better.
But the good thing is, by the time I was born in the 1970s, my parents had made good, worked very hard.
Sure.
And so they poured into me. I went off to college in Washington, D.C. I went to Howard University.
HBCU, right?
HBCU.
Yes, sir.
And was an economics and philosophy major.
Wow.
Then went to graduate school at the University of Maryland at College Park, where I was actually working on a PhD in government and politics, but I got a job working on Capitol Hill, and I was like, I'm going to do this.
Sure.
As a staffer for somebody?
As a staffer. So I worked for 3 members of Congress over time. I worked for about 20 years on Capitol Hill, kind of the revolving door. I worked for 3 members of Congress. I worked for several progressive think tanks. I did a stint as a corporate lobbyist, which, by the way, is the reason I ended up going to divinity school. I was determined not to be like my father, at least not be a minister like him.
Okay.
But there was something I think that was always there. I was born and raised in the church. And you'd find this interesting. My father also, this is the part that didn't get much of it. It's like my father was a blues guitarist.
Okay.
Was in B.B. King's first band.
Wow.
No way.
And actually, B.B. King, that's our cousin. My father's first cousin, my second cousin.
We don't get much B.B. King references up here
no, you don't.
in the north.
Did he continue to play throughout his adult life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Both at church, at home, he would take out the guitar.
Any of your brothers and sisters get that?
One of my older brothers tried to do it. I don't think he had the discipline that.
Okay.
But he learned to play guitar and would pick it up. But and that older brother did a stint at a little local band.
Okay.
And most of it, I think some of it is I think some of our family were singers, but not too many musicians the way my father started off as. But anyway, spent About 20 years in politics. Most recently, the member I worked for Democratic leader Steny Hoyer. I was his director of...
It's been a name for a long time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was his director of appropriations for a stint there. But when I went to seminary, I was still in politics. Actually, once I got my divinity degree, I became the policy advisor for the National Episcopal Church.
Okay.
So during the Obama years, I worked on the Affordable Care Act. I worked on climate change on behalf of the church, and I was the church's representative at Congress and at the Executive Office of the President. And that's how I ended up here inadvertently. I put my profile up, still not clear how I was going to use this divinity degree. I didn't know if I wanted to be a pastor. But a church here in Minneapolis saw my profile and said, "Would you be interested?" And
is that Plymouth Congressional?
No, that's the first church I served at was All God's Children.
Oh, you had mentioned that. That's right.
So did you go to Luther after?
So when I got here, I had always thought that I wanted to go further in my education. As a matter of fact, my husband often says, like, will you stop being a student? I knew that I wanted to study. When I got my Master of Divinity, my concentration was preaching and urban ministry.
Okay.
When I got here, I knew that I wanted to continue in some form. But when I was looking at it, actually, so I also was a speechwriter for those members of Congress.
Okay.
So preaching still, to me, especially in the age of social media, one of the things I was fascinated about, how do we get religious discourse, good faith religious discourse, not the crap you see from I think some of the right wingers but anyway, how do you get that discourse into the public square? So I wanted to study a little bit more. So I got my doctorate in preaching from Luther while I was here.
Well, I would imagine without seeming like you're preaching, right? Like without seeming like you're beating people over the head with.
I'll put it this way: the performance of preaching is fine. It's actually, I think, around more what I would say integrity, in essence.
Sure.
So let me give the next example. There was a period in the history of the United States where, certainly in the late 20th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, where people looked for they would print sermons in the newspaper.
Sure.
And people were looking for it. And the reason they did that is because regardless, even if there was sort of liberal conservative, this changed a little bit during the Civil War, but it still got back to something what I would call like real good discourse that was in the public sphere. People wanted to have that enduring wisdom. There was a time where people just wanted to hear what clergy thought about the issues of the day, about what's going on, and they trusted it. It was a healthy contribution to the conversation. We don't have that.
No.
Nearly as we.
Right. It sounds like regardless of what religion you were, or if you were non-religious.
Exactly.
Right. Because like I'm a non-religious person, and from what I hear from you. You know, it's not zealotry or it's not anything like that at all.
No. It's one of the most fascinating conversations in the early 20th century was in New York. This was Harry Emerson Fosdick, who would become the lead minister of the Great Riverside Church. It was in the papers where, there was a conservative liberal divide in a sense, but Harry Emerson Fosdick was who wanted to give voice to embracing of modernity. And so they were going back and forth, and non-religious people were invested in this argument.
Debate in the public square.
Yeah, how are we gonna embrace the modern world? We're getting technology is coming in, telephone, cars, and there was a real big discussion about what this meant for us.
It seems like that was also maybe a product of. Hopefully this will make sense, but like the cream rising to the top, right? So now, as by example of ourselves, every Joe Schmo on the street can have a podcast and get their opinion out.
That's very true.
And lots of people treat all of these opinions as if they're equal. Rather than back in the day, you know, you have a master's in theology and other things, like your opinion is weighted higher when it comes to what your expertise is than mine, right?
Right.
So a paper is not going to publish me. It will publish you. And so I think the discourse was higher back in the day in terms of what people would read and be interested in. As opposed to now.
That people who had the discipline and the study and the vetting, you know, peers that are saying, you know, are you saying the right thing? Are you, you know, are you really giving us the, or I'm going to check you. I'm going to challenge that claim.
We pit Theo Vaughn next to Neil deGrasse Tyson and think that they're the same.
It's just so bad.
Yeah, and it's been disheartening too, because I mean, and you know, I'm guilty of it too, where we have lost the ability to take time. Don't get me wrong. I have some non-negotiables myself. If you are going to rob people of their dignity, if you are going to withhold from someone the presumption of their full dignity and their full humanity, I'm getting off. I'm not gonna be a part of it.
Absolutely.
But I still think that we're missing that opportunity to hold a thing, even if it's uncomfortable. That's the thing too. I read widely, and there are things that I say, boy, that's a crappy argument, although I hate that. Or I've learned to admit I don't want to hear that truth. But now that I've heard it, how am I going to sort of absorb, discern,
the ability to recognize the uncomfortable truth and let it inform your decisions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Interesting. I have a question. So you moved to, do you currently live in the Willard Hay neighborhood? Is that right?
I live in the Willard Hay neighborhood.
Okay, so you live over north.
Live in north.
And have you been there since you moved to the Twin
Since
Cities?
I moved here, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that, just to make that connection for you, so when I was moving, look, in D.C., you know, we got up to that rarefied place of sort of real engaged in politics at a high level. My husband was a partner in a lobbying firm. So, and I was when I became a corporate lobbyist, you know, I was the co-chair of a very successful PAC. And so we had this beautiful home in this rarefied place. When I went to seminary and really got engaged with urban ministry, one of the things that really resonated with me and shaped me was the idea that if you're going to be a minister, you actually need to live where people live. Or it's going to be theoretical. All of the things that you're talking about is going to be theoretical.
You're not Joel Osteening yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Creflo Dollar.
As we were planning to leave. Now, I'll be honest with you. See, again, I don't want to sound like I'm all altruistic here. One of the things it was interesting about coming to Minneapolis too, I had originally thought that if I was going to be a pastor of a church, I was going to get a church in the area, in DC area. Because then I wouldn't have to sell my house.
Sure.
But when it looked like this was where I could do good work, I said, okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But of course, my realtor in D.C., who knows us in a certain way, I told him, I said, find us a realtor in the Twin Cities.
That's the way to do it, folks.
To help us help us find a place. And I didn't even think about what to say to the realtor in the Twin Cities.
Sure.
And our realtor in D.C. had been journeyed with us from our first house to the last, house that we built.
Sure.
And so I said, just get us a realtor. So when we met the realtor here, he was taking us to all of these,
mega super mansions.
Yeah.
Geographically, all like Lake Minnetonka or something?
No, all here, but up in Linden Hills.
Sure.
So he was, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm not sure he's getting
right.
And to be fair, when we sold our house in D.C., we did very, very well. That market was very hot in 2012, 2013.
Sure.
Still is.
Still is.
So we did very well.
Could have bought a whole block in Reading.
Yeah.
So, and so he was taking us up, and I said, "Hey, wait." I said, I'm sorry. I think we misunderstand it. I was like, I'm not trying to live in this places where I'm sort of walled off from myself. I really want to be in the city. And I didn't know much about Minneapolis in terms of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So we were having trouble understanding each other in that regard. And so finally I said something. I just said it, and I got to DC to go to college in the early 90s, so no one wanted to live DC, and so I'm not afraid of a scary, So but anyway, I said, well, where is the place that you wouldn't want to live?
Is that right?
And he said, I wouldn't want to live in North Minneapolis. I said, well, and
Listen,
his answer should not have
first
been
of all,
that.
I know.
So we deal with this all the time. So we, 3 months ago now, we did North and did like Victory neighborhood. And the problem that we face in Minneapolis is this preconceived notion that North is not the place where you want to live. And I'll say it because I'm a white guy and I'm from the East Coast and I'm not very Minnesota nice about stuff. Like, it's because black people live over North.
That's exactly it.
And it's like, until you go into these neighborhoods. So I lived over North for a year while we were trying to move back to St. Paul, and realize the community that exists there. And there are pockets that are bad, but there are pockets that are wonderful. And then housing prices to boot, you're getting a steal.
Well, that was so shocking to me, because when I moved there, first of all, we found this wonderful house, renovated. I mean, I think they renovated on the cheap because we had some work to do. But with our inspector, we knew. But and one of the selling point for us, it had the original wood floors and had the wood in in the walls and the ceiling.
Some of the old built-ins and the crown molding or whatever.
So we said, okay, we're going to get this house because we loved it. 5 bedrooms, 2-car garage. And
it was probably $200,000.
It was even less than that.
Was it really?
I even told my mother, I said, you know what? I could work in Starbucks and Caribou and still make my mortgage.
Yeah.
And so but I said, people have to be crazy to not, Now, it's changing because since we've lived there, I think people have gotten the news.
Yes.
We're listing a house in the spring in Willard Hay that we're very excited for. Shout out Aaron, Stevie, and Alex.
1421 Logan Avenue North.
Oh, so I live on Newton. So you're actually
2 blocks.
You're just behind. But it's a street over.
I mean, it's a great neighborhood.
It is, and some good housing stock. And again,
the park is right there.
Yes, we live right down from North. We live on 16th and Newton.
There you go.
And that's what I said. I was like, I was so shocked. And I even said, if we were in D.C., this neighborhood, I said, you have to have a balance and make sure that you don't displace people.
Sure.
I said, but even when we got there, I just felt that the balance wasn't even reached. I'm like, why aren't
in terms of gentrification kind of thing?
Yes. Because in D.C., my neighborhood would be swept up.
But they've been talking about that. And this is there's, I'm sure you're familiar with the North Side redevelopment stuff. So ever since I moved here, and I moved here in 96 to go to school, they have been talking about redeveloping the North Side. Yeah. And I feel like, and maybe this is where we take a turn into politics. Yeah.
We should probably get there eventually.
The political capital, the political will is never there. They try it for a little bit, and then they pull out. And so when you go to North and you look and you see the beautiful skyline right in front of you and the easy access to the river and the easy access to downtown and the easy access to Theodore Wirth Park
and Northeast
and all of these things, you go, why is this not the most sought after neighborhood in the city? And then you realize maybe Target goes there for 5 years and they pull out, or Cub goes there and they pull out, and the political capital to see it through doesn't seem to exist.
You have said exactly, you have articulated exactly what we saw when we got here.
Good job, Casey.
Because that was the frustration. I'm like, what? And that's when I had to face.
I am fine with being on your staff if you.
I had to face the history. I had to face it, and I talked to a lot of people because, again, even economically. Economics in the East Coast sometimes, or I'll just be more specific. In Washington, D.C., even the disparities or issues around race, sometimes we saw that it would give way to economic interest, economic progress.
Sure.
That is, people said, we don't want to live in this neighborhood, or we think this neighborhood is too dangerous, or this neighborhood is filled with Black people, and I'm not sure if I'm comfortable living there. Eventually, what I saw over my years in Washington, D.C. was that, nope, you know what? We'll give this a chance, especially in this case, sometimes it was either be the LGBTQ community or it would be college students. Somebody would say, I'm willing to invest my time, my money, and live in this neighborhood. And that's why I say, when I got here, that was the striking thing to me. The houses, the location.
Yep.
And yet, and still, I one of the walking routes that I have during the summers is the West Broadway Commercial Court.
I wanted to talk to you about that too. You're walking. I read. Maybe I saw an interview with you. I don't know if it was on the Wedge Live or something, but about you walk. I love to walk. I love my neighborhood. You are another level of walker.
How many steps do you get a day? What are we talking about here?
You're walking like 10 miles a day.
I'm walking 7 to 10 miles.
And this is prior to door knocking and hanging.
Yes.
Wow.
That was it started because during COVID, I couldn't go to the gym.
Sure.
I mean, I always walk. This is one thing too. I love this city is that it is a walkable city, and I'm surrounded by
and you're coming
parks.
from D.C., which is also a very walkable city.
Yeah, I'm talking about parks and lakes, so you could just sort of
sidewalks, so you're not in the street.
Exactly. So another thing is, as a minister, and really, again, I not only minister, I'm a professor. I teach preaching at United Seminary.
Okay.
And so. One of the things I want to do, the couple of things I do. One, I like to listen to preachers.
Sure.
And it's great to have your, the headphones on and you're just walking.
Sure.
And so sometimes I get really into it.
Sure.
And listening to sermons. And then, of course, I like to listen to podcasts. In the 2016 election, I just could not stomach cable news anymore.
Sure.
And getting back to this idea,
like a lot of us, I think.
Yeah. I couldn't. This lack of nuance, this lack of complexity, of really having a good conversation. So I was really going to podcasts, and I really wanted to. So when COVID hit, some of that stuff I would do in the gym, but there was only you could do was go outside.
Yeah.
And so that really before COVID, it would be just some evenings because it's just some beautiful evenings here, and it gets dark so late. Mm-hmm. I would get home from the office, and for 2 hours. In 2 hours, you can do about 6 or 7 miles. So just just walking around and enjoying the evening. But then when COVID hit, I'm like, well. I'm not going to any office anytime soon. Some of it is about calling people.
Yeah.
So I would just walk and
work.
Walk and work. That's what I would do.
Okay.
So but running this campaign, I have so missed it. I have missed especially on my day off from when I was a pastor is Friday.
Okay.
And when it wasn't so hot, I usually wait toward the evening when the sun is going down a little bit. So I start at 4 and 5 o'clock.
Wow.
Walk till about 8 or 9. So
what? This is a super important question.
Yes.
Do they have Gnats in DC?
Here, depending on the time of the year,
they
don't have
gnats or mosquitoes.
They'd have gnats and mosquitoes, but it's not as bad as here.
Okay.
Because I think, look, there's so much water here.
Yeah, that's it.
And mosquitoes here, man, I have to spray up the stuff because they're bad here.
Yeah. We're not wearing netting much, but hopefully we don't get to that point.
Now, and yes, Minneapolis rivals my Mississippi with the mosquitoes.
Okay.
When I moved to D.C., I was like, oh, mosquitoes are here, but they're not as bad.
Yeah.
But when I moved here, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's pretty, yes.
Well, I guess we should start talking about running for mayor. So, I mean, my biggest initial question is, as briefly as you can, talk about what made you want to run for mayor, and not only that, what made you not be petrified of the Frey Machine? Because it is a machine. That's objective.
No, that is a machine.
It's a machine. It's a money machine, and it's an influence machine.
And I'll answer that question first. The reason I wasn't afraid of the Frey Machine. One, I'm not afraid. One of the things that I wanted to do in my life, because early in my life, there was way too much fear that sort of shaped my life. I grew up, and actually it was through therapy that I learned it, that, my parents were fearful. And my parents, and I would only learn later that my parents were fearful because they saw so much violence in Mississippi, so much violence.
When were they born, roughly?
The 20s.
Sharecroppers.
Sharecropper, yeah, started off as sharecroppers.
Okay. So they saw a lot.
Oh, yeah. And I never understood it. So, and I have to explain that because, I grew up about 30 miles from where Emmett Till was murdered. Wow. So they lived through all of the violence. They lived through the disappearing of people.
Sure.
So, when I grew up, my father was just this. It just seemed like I always say he was strict, but what it was, he wanted to know where we were all the time.
Sure.
And especially when I got my license, oh my God, it's like when I got this is like these people.
There's no Find My Friends then on the iPhone. He's not tracking you like that.
So this fear. So anyway, I just want to say, I knew about the Frey Machine, but. I'm not afraid of anything like that.
Okay.
And then as a minister, what I don't want to do, when you operate out of fear, you really begin to. That's where the shadow side of you really can take up residence. So. We already have a shadow side, but when fear becomes the move, so I don't want to be fearful of anything, and that's the. But what made me do it? Listen, when I got here, just what you said, I saw right away, given where we live.
What year was this?
This was 2013.
Okay.
I saw right away the disparities. I saw, given my work in Washington, given how I moved through the world, I could see, the way things were happening with politics. And so I called some people that I knew from here, who I worked with in Washington, and I was like, what am I looking at?
Sure.
And
was Ryback? Was he the mayor?
That would have been Ryback, right? Or no, was that after Ryback?
That was after Ryback. So Mayor Hodges was the first in 2013.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's when the election was going.
Gotcha.
I see.
So anyway, that's when I said, we've got work to do. And I just started doing what I know how to do, which is, one, working on issues. Look, I've worked on just about all the human needs issues. So I started working with North Point Clinic, just things that I saw there and wanted to provide some what I would know about what's going on. I started working with Hennepin County on their HIV strategy because, again, I did a lot of work in Washington on financing the Ryan White program.
Sure.
So I was just doing the things. I actually reached out to Mayor Hodges and said, and just sort of in the advisory role that I was used to. So I was just telling them, here's what if you as a politician, check in with ministers because we accompany people who are trying to live.
Yeah.
And so you'll get a sense of what people are going through when you talk to a minister. Make the same offer to Jacob Frey. And so the idea of running for mayor never, or running for office at all, I never thought that that's what I would do. In the meantime, I spent 7 years at All God's Children. Then I became lead minister of Plymouth Congregational Church.
Second oldest church in Minneapolis.
Yes.
Recognized.
And Episcopal?
Congregationalist, UCC.
Okay.
And so and that church is just a wonderful platform of great justice work. So that just sort of threw me even deeper into what I was already doing.
Sure.
But then when George Floyd was murdered, I really was reaching out to Jacob to, to say, hey, look, we are ground zero, one of the worst demonstration of police brutality and a murder that in the world. And it's going to take something.
Yeah.
And so even still,
and after Jamar Clark and after Philando Castile, kind of crescendoed.
Exactly. And so even I got really close to Mayor Hodges when Jamar Clark was killed. So he got killed not too far from where we live on Plymouth. I'm only 2 blocks from Plymouth.
Yeah.
And so Plymouth Avenue.
Plymouth Avenue.
When George Floyd was murdered, I was reaching out to the mayor, and he tapped me to co-chair his community safety work group
with Nikema Levy Armstrong.
That's right.
My wife is. Nikema Levy Armstrong is my wife's biggest fan. The opposite of what I just, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
My wife loves Nikema Levy Armstrong, who has endorsed you, I believe.
Yes,
right?
She has. And we did. Our charter was to provide recommendations for police reform and public safety that the mayor could do with on the executive mayor system.
Yes.
And but that's when conversations started from people saying you should consider running. And I think one of the reasons that was because it goes back to what I was just talking about. How do you have real good faith conversations when you disagree? Mm-hmm. Of course, smart, engaged people disagree. Mm-hmm. Sure. The question is, what are the terms of doing good work together when you do? Mm-hmm. And we kept everybody in that room, and people were on opposite ends of the spectrums. We had people from Communities United Against Police Brutality. We had a police officer on there, retired officer on there. We had downtown council, people from downtown. So just a range of people who probably you wouldn't think would come together and figure out some things to offer. And we did.
Yes.
And that's when people said, you should consider running for mayor. And I was like, no, that's not the way I, wanted to show up. I don't think that's the way. Then Senator Kerry Disick tapped me to be the chaplain of the Minnesota Senate when the trifecta came into power.
Passed away last year, right?
Yes,
Kerry did,
yes.
Tragically.
Yes. And what was so powerful about that experience, especially when the trifecta was just sort of realizing the dream of just years of work on some policy issues. Yeah. But there was still this sense to me that the city was not very much engaged in that work, even when some of it impacted the city. And so I started to feel like, wow, I'm there's something missing here.
Yeah.
About how a city.
You're like, we have solutions.
And
potential solutions.
Yeah, and we have issues that this could address. And we didn't weigh in, but someone else did. So anyway,
sure.
So that's when it really started heating up. People said, you should consider this. And I was thinking about it, but what really made me do it, I'll be very honest, what made me do it is last summer when Joe Biden did so terribly in that debate.
Yes.
It occurred
Interesting.
To me, yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah. News to you?
Huh? That's when I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
Up until then, my imagination and my analysis did not have it that Donald Trump would ever get the office back. Mm-hmm. So I just wasn't thinking of those. But when Joe Biden did so horribly in that debate,
you were like, uh-oh.
I was like, uh-oh.
It'd be interesting. I would like to fun to study personally.
Yeah, some
to see
empirical
how
data.
many people that are now engaged in politics and running for office and new young voices of like the progressive, liberal, whatever movement you want to call it, were spurred to action by that 14 minutes of the opening.
Like Zoran Mamdani in New York. If he was like, that was it for me too.
Yeah.
Right. And what it said, and I know this, some people think this may be weird, but again, I just told you what my parents went through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That they did not know the blessing of democracy until at least the 1972 election.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's when my mother said that's when she was not afraid for the first time.
I think there are far too few people in this country that don't have that experience to draw from. Like they've never been othered.
Yeah.
So their sense of othering is like, you know, not getting the job they wanted because they weren't quite as qualified as the person who did get it.
Yeah.
Who happened to be of a different race or religion or whatever. And so they can't draw from that experience. And so it's like they don't walk willingly into what we're walking into right now, but they can't even wrap their head around that it would exist.
Exactly. Right. And I just said, look, the great gift that Minneapolis is that we and certainly as someone who reads history and politics, you know, this is the city of the great Hubert Humphrey. Mm-hmm. And Hubert Humphrey is distinguished by his bravery and his courage, his belief in the people. And so when I was thinking about this, that's what spurred me, because I'm like, we have got to figure out how to be a city that marches forward, even as the nation falls into autocracy and liberalism.
So you speak extensively about worker-centered economy and marginalized people and the unhoused and social programs and things like that. How do you enact those policies when the federal dollars for that have dried up, and it just doesn't seem like beyond some public health stuff, right? Like the COVID vaccination. It's good business for the COVID vaccine to be administered as the way it was because of health outcomes. How do you get those dollars to fund things like, you know, public schools or worker-centered economy or social welfare programs or transit system, you know, not walkable transit like systems for everybody in all communities. When seemingly that's where federally the country is going away from. Where do those dollars come from? How does that get paid for? How does
that's a great question, and here's the critical piece that I'm offering. The way you respond to that is you think not in terms of just me, mayor of Minneapolis, or just Minneapolis. You start thinking in terms of all hands on deck, whole of government, multi-jurisdictional relationships.
Okay.
In essence, what we've been missing, and I sort of forecast for you when I said when the trifecta was discussing things and bringing things to the floor, the city wasn't a part of any of those conversations in a deep, meaningful way.
Sure.
To me, right now, that's why we need new leadership, because what you need is someone who's thinking in terms of collaboration and coordination, building trust, building relationship with the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners, building trust with the Minneapolis area delegation, being part of an ongoing discussion about how are we going to respond in this way or that way. I'll give you a prime example right now. If all of the Medicaid cuts that the Trump administration is planning to hit, and they won't hit until next year, but if all of those cuts go through, we're going to have a healthcare crisis like we haven't seen before. And by the way, the crisis is going to be exacerbated because if those cuts come in, the first places that are going to be hit and are going to close are rural hospitals and rural clinics. And guess where they're going to head? They're going to head in this direction.
Already happening.
And so what that means is the county, has the hospital, but we also have North Memorial here. We have some private hospitals. But my point is, we need a leader that is going to be able to build that relationship and trust across these jurisdictions, across agencies, to begin to think, and as a steady, continuous work to respond. And that is that's exactly what I'm talking about. We are no longer going to be able to rely on Washington here.
Sure.
And so since that's where we are, we've got to be bringing so many people to the table, sharing ideas, debating and negotiating in good faith, not for personal political ambition, but for the sake of really backfeeling, responding, resisting. All of that has to happen. And I think we're uniquely situated to do that foundationally, whether it be policy, whether it be history, whether it be institutions. Minneapolis is really better situated than others. You see how hard Chicago is fighting. You see how hard Los Angeles is fighting. And now Portland is getting into there.
The frogs in Portland.
And they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think we are even more uniquely situated. But what it's going to take is all of us and taking a leader saying, you know what? I'm not gonna beat the hobby horse of my own political ambition, and I'm certainly not going to just take up residence with a certain faction in the city.
Sure.
And here's another thing that we haven't heard from our leadership, and we need to hear. There is, we've been given a false choice on a lot of issues. It either has to be defund or warrior military style police.
Yeah.
There's a whole range of options, possibilities, and creative ideas between those two poles.
Sure.
Same way with development and housing. There's a lot of room between just all development and luxury apartments and starvation wages and bad housing conditions.
Totally right.
That's one of the big issues that we face in St. Paul. Not to bring this to St. Paul is obviously like the rent control. That sort of did the opposite of what it was intended.
Yeah, right.
And Minneapolis doesn't suffer from it nearly as bad as St. Paul in terms of economic woes of downtown.
Right.
But again, it's interesting to see like how would you tackle housing for all, a worker-based economy when COVID took away the ability to go back to work downtown and those property values are falling. And how does that exist? How does the redevelopment exist? It's the funding for that kind of stuff. It seems like you can't just rely on how it used to work.
Exactly. And that's why you really want to open that conversation up broadly and bring as much information as you can. So here's, and I'll give you an example of that. So even with that whole discussion around rent control, I'm on the record saying that I don't want government setting prices.
Sure.
This is the economics major coming through.
Yeah, sure.
I just don't want. But here's another thing. I don't think it has to. I think there are things that, again, so that sometimes we get into that false choice. If I don't get this, then we can't do anything about rent.
Sure.
That's just not true.
Okay.
That's just simply, there's a range of things that we can, and one thing that I've said too is, and this is also why it's so critical to know history. Look, the government, that is city, state, county, the federal, the government has really gone to the privatization of housing. That's what it's done. Now, someone would say, well, that's what it should have done. There's some conservative thinking that that's what they should have done. But no, I'm saying, no, the government should play a far bigger role in housing. Then someone comes back at me and say, well, what about the ghettos? And then I said, this is where you need to know history. The ghettos or public housing in the mid-20th century, that was not a housing policy. That was a segregation policy. We wanted to build up the suburbs. We wanted to send white people there. We wanted to house these people that we didn't want to really care about. So that's not what I'm asking the government. I'm asking the government to get in, do what they did with privatization. What government did was it has incentivized private development of housing.
Sure.
I'm just asking to put that same kind of attention and incentivizing on the public and the nonprofit development side of it.
Okay.
And so we have these great nonprofit and public developers, but look, they don't have easy access to capital the way private people do.
Sure.
Their projects are probably once every 2, 3, 4 years, as opposed to a private person. The private developer can have 2, 3 projects going simultaneously.
Sure. We have one habitat build on the east side.
Right.
Versus, a million.
Exactly.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, how about using different levers, different options? How about really going deeper and trying to get that capital for those nonprofit and public developers who then will set the price?
I think that's a really good thought, especially because my mind keeps going back to it doesn't have to be the choice of these new luxury rentals with the sexy gyms and the amenities, and it's $2,500 a month for a little 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
Or the opposite, right?
Exactly.
It can be something else, right? And same thing when it comes to purchasing a home.
Yes.
In neighborhoods, like there are ideas and solutions out there that aren't just one or the other.
Exactly. And look, don't get me wrong. I know that, if you have a sort of an ideological school that's driving, and look, I'm very progressive. As a matter of fact, one of the things when I thought about running for mayor, I did have some nightmares that someone would string together 15 years of YouTube sermons about some of the
that was the first thing that drew me to you. Actually, was like a video I saw and how much you are out with the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
And you're a minister. Yeah. At first, I was like, "This is not what I see. What you see, right?"
Right.
But you seem to be the biggest advocate for communities like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Of anybody running for mayor, which I thought personally was what initially drew me to you.
Right. Yeah. No. And so I'm very progressive. You hear the language I use around the reign of God and sharing all things in common. So they're going to paint me a certain way. But what I'm saying is, to me, when we get into the politics and we get into policy, which I am, that's where I got my chops, steeped in the range of possibilities. We don't have to be presented with a false choice. There are ways of sort of talking these three, and the creativity and the ideas we could sort of bring to bear on a particular question.
Do you feel like sometimes that is an uphill battle, I will say in Minneapolis in particular, I would say in the Midwest in general versus the East Coast, which is used to, let's just use density for an example, which is used to a certain density and a certain mixed level of housing rather than neighborhoods with single-family homes all over the place? Do you have to fight this sort of...
I think the difference would be sort of a Washington, New York, sort of that corridor is surrounded with think tanks that just a range of conservative to progressive. All, in some ways, in the conversation already.
Sure.
So there's no shortage of opportunities to really talk about it. I started working on Capitol Hill during the Bill Clinton administration. And it was always a joke, but I still think that the
Bill Clinton administration?
I know it's not like
I won't hold you to that.
I did leave the door open. But to cut your teeth during that time, Bill Clinton did. The one thing he did was he wanted conversation and debate on all these issues.
Big tent guy.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that's even why the progressives got annoyed with him, because he was willing to entertain. Sure. But working on the Affordable Care Act, Obama wasn't that different either.
Sure.
One of the reasons the Affordable Care Act, I told people, one of the reasons the Affordable Care Act could last so long is because he did take in a range of ideas.
One of the problems I had with him at that time.
Yes. Yeah, me
naively.
Too. Me too. I did. I was so frustrated.
You're too centrist. Why
I was so frustrated. I was...
With age comes wisdom, possibly.
Well, I thought he was talking too much to Republicans who I knew were never going to vote for the bill. So I was getting annoyed. But again, in hindsight, the reason it has stood the test of time is because he did incorporate many of those ideas.
Sure.
He did avoid false choices.
It's more popular now than it was.
Yeah,
when it passed.
and so that to me is an indication of what could happen when you really. And so, for instance, I think this is where the first thing we're going to really have to do. The first elected official I met with to talk about running for mayor, really deep, was Steve Brandt of the Board of Estimate and Taxation.
Okay.
And the reason I wanted to talk to him because I wanted to see what kind of conversation were they having before the property tax increase. In essence,
pre-COVID.
Even just we got the property tax right out right last year.
Sure. Okay.
The really steep one, and I said, what conversations you had before that happened? And that property tax increase came because of COVID. The cliff had occurred on the commercial tax base, and so to make it up, we went to the property tax.
Yeah.
And so what I asked him was, what kind of conversation you had? And as I suspected, there was no full conversation. We were stuck in the same pot. If you don't get the commercial tax base,
you got to get it from here.
You got to get it from here.
Gotcha.
There was no broader discussion that he said we should be willing to have around both what are some alternatives to raise revenues and how do we prevent ourselves from laying that burden on the residents again. Okay. So we've gotta this to me argues for that kind of bringing people in, talking across, working with the city council, even the ones that you know you're going to disagree with, and say, okay, here's our problem. And own it.
Not finger pointing and blaming, right.
And
which I see from, another reason that I feel like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that may have spurned you to run is just seeing the infighting and the finger pointing and the blaming when, the lack of accountability from Frey and blaming the city council for things. This is me talking now, but
that wasn't very down the middle.
No, you're right. But that's what I saw.
No, but here's even on and to pull all of them. That's the thing that I would have said as mayor. I would say, hey, look, this is a cliff when it comes to commercial taxes.
Yeah,
we're going to have to saddle the residents with it.
Yeah,
we're going to have to figure this. We are going to have to figure this out.
As mayor and city council.
Yeah, come on. Let's get down in this.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm going to be honest with you. That's the way I look. This governing structure is the mayor and the city council. They are duly elected officials of the city.
Yeah.
So part of the accountability is that I'm going to have you be accountable with me on this. So, and there are things that we're going to do together. There are things we're going to disagree, but we all are going to. So I am not going to be running away from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in there trying to get solutions. Yeah. I'm going to be making tough, and have you make some tough ones.
Yeah.
And have you stand on your record. That to me puts us, we all put our skin in the game.
Sure.
And then by the way, I look, they say, victory, everybody loves the victory and everyone, and it'll be failure. But I want, if we're going to be victorious together, we're going to fail together.
Yeah, totally.
Sounds an awful lot like communism to me, sir.
Let me ask you, because I feel like a couple of these topics we've been talking about in policy issues are that the narrative is two ends of the extreme. As mayor, you're in charge of the police.
Yes.
I don't, and again, I read stuff and pay attention to stuff that maybe it's because I have too much time on my hands, but I know a lot of residents don't. And I think a lot of people, residents of the city or the country or whatever, but even Minneapolis, they don't know that the mayor is in charge of the police department.
Okay.
They are, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you had mentioned the narrative, whether it be through the media or whatever, is defund the police or militarization of the police, right?
Yes.
What are your thoughts and plans for the Minneapolis Police Department if and when you're elected?
So for me, it starts with the court enforceable settlement agreement. We're under a court enforceable settlement agreement. We were also under a federal consent decree that the Trump administration threw out. But it's still, that consent decree really does reflect a little bit of the work. There's some that we could bring into it, and I would bring the things that the federal consent decree had that was unique to it from the court enforceable settlement. But to me, that's where it starts.
Okay.
We are under a court enforceable settlement agreement that came about because of an investigation that found a pattern and practice of misconduct by the Minneapolis Police Department. So what that means is we have a chance now to embed some reforms into our police department. And that's what I want our police to be successful. We need our police to be successful. We need the number that the Charter Commission says we need, and probably maybe a little bit more. Some people would hate when I say that, but we need it because we need to get the 911 response times down. And again, what I said during the whole debate about this as a Northside resident and talking to my neighbors, what we want is police that is respectful and responsive. We want the same kind of police that people around the lakes get.
Correct.
That's what we want.
You don't want to have to rely on the "we keep us safe."
Exactly.
Right? Because that's great.
Yeah.
And that is, it seems very true.
Yeah.
Andrew and I met at, he was my bar manager at Salou in St. Paul back in the day.
I was his boss.
But one of the things that was impressed upon me in the service industry was everybody gets the same experience.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You just because you're a 16-year-old on your first date doesn't mean that you're treated differently than someone who's spending $1,000, right? And so it seems like that is a good, way to
Did you just come up with that? That's not bad.
Policing, right? Like, because you brought the, Linden Hills, Highland Park and St. Paul, so, police probably act very differently than they act over north. And for whatever reasons there are, right? But maybe it's one of those like chicken or egg kind of scenarios as the adults in charge of the room, right? Like, maybe the change starts with everybody gets the same experience, and
we tend to we have amnesia on this. Look, the law enforcement, especially for in the history, that if you pay attention to the history, law enforcement comes from a tradition.
Don't go too deep into this; you're going to scare some people.
It comes from a tradition of being the shock troops for a certain type of thing. Again, it was law enforcement, the vanguard of trying to prevent black freedom and black freedom in the 60s. I mean, they were the ones. That they were the head of that. So that history just we've not done that any work on that history. We've not done any real sort of trying to understand how to make an institution that has that much power accountable. So that's why I say the court enforceable settlement agreement gives us an opportunity to build into the police department those changes, those things. And so I led the community conversations when we were looking for an independent monitor for the court enforceable settlement agreement. And we had 4 candidates. And if you look around the country where they've done these monitorings of consent decrees, it's a mixed bag. There are successes, there are failures. And I asked the question, why does it fail? And every one of those candidates, including the independent monitor that is monitoring our agreement right now, said it fails when mayors do not keep it front and center and set expectations of meeting it. And so what I say is I want our police to be successful. We need them to be successful, but we also need them to be accountable so that people can trust them again. And they can be a part. But also, again, I have hurt the police too. We have pressed the police into service that they should not be doing. And so I'm a firm believer in the violence interrupter program. One of the recommendations we made in that report was lean into the violence interrupter program, but collect data, evaluate data, set some outcomes that you like to see, so that we can have, again, so that the police can work with, do the real tough, hard stuff. We also, again, we wanted the police also to not be doing mental health treatment and responding to those calls.
Well, I live near Hiawatha Avenue.
Okay,
right?
Yes.
And the Hiawatha Avenue corridor all the way to downtown, I drive it, I bike it, all the time. And occasionally you see mental health things. And I have called the police before, just with somebody having a mental health issue. And that's what, I think that rather than saying defunding the police, I think if the narrative was more like, if we could divert some funds to that kind of thing while still doing better at solving crimes and clearing crimes like that, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and the way I say it is, so that it's not a matter of sort of getting into the debate around the scarcity or abundance that one has over other. What I say is, you make sure that every one of those parts of the community safety, the public safety matrix is fully resourced and operating at full capacity. And so that means that the behavioral crisis response has all the resources it's needed. It is operating full capacity. It is empowered to do its work. That the violence interrupters have what they need. They are fully empowered. They are equipped to do what they need to do. If they need technical assistance, you provide it. That means that 911 has all the personnel that it has so that it can be very critical, plays a critical role in determining if this is a mental health crisis response so that we can send out behavioral crisis response, or if this is a crime, a crime that we can get. And the same thing. So I want all of those other pieces operating at full capacity, full resource, so the police can be focused on what that. By the way, if the police are focused on responding to the most, the most violent crimes, the immediate crimes, that also a piece, if they're not doing this other stuff, they can start working on investigations.
Correct.
And clearing things. Investigations.
That's a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's why we need that police fully funded, fully operating, but we need to trust them.
Correct.
We need to have them doing what they're supposed to do. That's also why I don't want the police criminalizing homelessness.
That's a big policy thing for you, I know.
And it is.
And it should be. That's great.
Yeah, so because the police need to be doing this kind of thing.
Sure.
And so that's what we need to be. And by the way, the leadership leadership variable comes in this. A lot of people give Jacob Frey a lot of grief because of he said, I want to end homelessness in 5 years. And he didn't do it.
No.
And I said, look, actually, to say you want to end homelessness in 5 years is a wonderful, laudable goal.
Yeah.
It really is. But when you do that, by the way, I also teach church and nonprofit leadership. When I was political science, I taught presidential and congressional leadership. So leadership is a real question that I've dealt with all my career. So it's okay if you said, I want to end homelessness in 5 years. But once you say that, then you've got to start putting it into play, into action.
Yeah.
And so that first start, the first part is, who are you going to hire to lead this?
Yeah. Sure.
And set expectations of what you want to see and how you want to get it. And then how are you going to reorganize the city structure for the express purpose of getting at that?
Yes.
So everything has to start flowing to that.
That's step one of the solution.
Yeah. You said, I want to do this. Okay, now that I said that, I got to start putting everything in place to arrive at that goal. And here's the thing. That doesn't mean you're good at it. So then, by the way, if in 3 years, we check in and say where we are, I can come and tell you and say, okay, look, this is the progress we made, and then tell you explicitly what's in front of us.
Yeah.
Then after 5 years, if I haven't done it, then I come to you and say, okay, here's where we missed, here's where we're going to adjust, here where we need to adjust. Or then you can say, I had this, and again, without pointing fingers, but hopefully once you've set this vision and you've set expectations, you've hired the people you want to do it, you've reorganized the enterprise to get to it.
Yeah.
Then you can go to the city council and say, can I get you on board with me? And if they don't get on board, then you still have to say, so what was their vision?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't even think that I think the council would have said, that goal of ending homelessness, we agree with you. Then the question becomes, okay, we both have this as our goal.
What do you feel? I mean, it seems like when you were talking about reorganization or reallocation of assets to help arrive at that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel some of the goals that you have in terms of public safety, in terms of homelessness, in terms of that kind of stuff is about reallocating where Minneapolis tax dollars are spent and spent more efficiently?
Oh, well, certainly that has to happen anyway. But you're putting a finer point on it. Yes. So, for instance, a lot of people say to me, all the things that you say you want to do. It was embedded in an earlier question that you asked. People say, "Well, how are you going to get it? We don't have the money.
Sure.
If you do everything, you're going to have to really saddle people with a higher property tax.
Sure.
Washington's not going to help you." And so then what I would say that has to happen in any government entity. Then we have to talk about what are we going to prioritize?
Sure.
How we're going to sequence what we're going to do.
Sure.
And by the way, you can't really do that if you don't have a good, working, trusting relationship with the city council.
Yeah.
When you get into the place where the dollars continue to become scarce, when it's going to be tough to do it, then you're really going to need to get down, do that unsexy, hard work behind the closed doors saying, what are we going to prioritize first?
It's also almost like an audit that needs to happen where you can say, okay, like, because fortunately, I think for all of us, the Twin Cities in general is a tax base that doesn't mind paying taxes as long as we can see where those tax dollars are being spent. And right now it's a little muddy.
And it is.
And so it would be nice to have that audit and say, what is this going for?
And you're articulating exactly what I think is going to be needed going forward.
Yeah.
We really do have to have a way of really talking with you about it. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I mean, just on the face of it, like this is about accountability and transparency. When I become mayor, I'm going to have a monthly press conference, and the reason I say that is because the only time we hear from the mayor and the city council is when there's a headline on the Star Tribune or one of the papers because they're fighting or something got blown up.
Yeah.
And so by the time you all are brought in on it, you haven't followed the discussion, and then you're going to be forced into that false choice to say it's the mayor, or you say it's the city council, and so then that you've been enlisted in the finger pointing.
Sure.
That both of you are. That's both really good points because Casey's right. Like if we had a mayor that came out and said, "This is what I need from you." Yes. The taxpayer, the resident of Minneapolis, and this is what you're going to get from it.
Yes.
Like that kind of thing, people are willing.
That creates clear accountability.
I believe that too. And
I really do.
I do too. I've heard on the campaign trail, that's the frustration that I'm hearing.
Okay.
And many people are saying it. The taxes are high, but I'm willing to do that if I thought you were going to, if I thought the city was going to do it this way, or if you told me. And
correct.
So I think this is what I mean. Like, this is what I'm concerned about because, again, the only time we hear anything is when it blows up.
Correct.
And there's a fight. So then we are enlisted into the fight.
Correct.
And instead of saying, you know what? This is where we're going. And then if we end up to a place where something gets blown up, you've been following along all the time. Because I'm telling you, because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
That has to happen going forward. You have to know where we're going.
I fully agree.
And so, I joke. I said, as the work I'd done in Washington, I followed the mayors of Washington, D.C., and Baltimore and New York. And they give, they've
had some mayors in those cities.
And those cities, they have a weekly press stuff,
Sure.
And so we're not like that.
Sure.
We're not like New York, where
right.
New York and Chicago, we have to have a weekly, but at least a monthly. So even when you all are just watching the regular order of business,
it's a check-in, right? It's like
you know what's going on. Yeah. You're following along, and and that also raises the question. I have to be accountable as mayor to tell you. And here's the point: to speak in good faith about what I'm doing with the city council. By the way, if I have a monthly press conference, I hope that would spur the city council to have a monthly one.
Yeah.
I want to, so we don't want to take up all day.
No, we have to chamomile tea this. Well, we had a code word we were going to say. We were going to say chamomile tea.
Yeah,
we needed to start wrapping it up because I know you're busy.
I do have one question is, and maybe to put a point on the pencil. We didn't even get to education, right?
That's one of the last two very brief things I wanted to talk about.
And so my question is, with public school enrollment down year over year since COVID, again, do you have a list of priorities, right? Where you said it comes down to what you prioritize in what order. Is there a list of your priorities that you want to see happen first?
Yeah. Can I piggyback off that super quick? Because it's MEA right now. Yeah. My daughter's in Minneapolis Public Schools. She has been since day one. Mm-hmm. She just turned 13. She's in 7th grade. We had her conferences last night. Yeah. She goes to Sanford, which is in the Longfellow area, the Howe neighborhood, I believe. Mm-hmm. We adore that school. Yeah. We love it. We think the Minneapolis public school teachers are the best in the state, and that's despite them making less than teachers in the suburbs, right? Mm-hmm. And facing more challenges and facing more budget restrictions and things like that. We've loved the curriculum. We've loved the teachers. Again, the mayor only has so much control over this. These are a lot of, I understand. These are federal dollars that are allocated, and this is school board stuff, and this is superintendent stuff, and that's not the mayor, and that's not you. I get it. However, of all my daughter's 7 classes, do you want to guess the fewest amount of students she has in any of her 7 classes?
What is it?
38.
Yeah.
I was going to say 24.
38 is the fewest.
They must have shut down a bunch of schools.
I don't know. I mean, they had redistricting a couple years ago. Yeah. That was a thing that happened, and I don't know if things would be different if that hadn't been done. Mm-hmm. And she's doing great despite that, because we were talking earlier about square pegs and round holes. She's a round peg in a round hole, so she can do that. Right. But a lot of kids can't, a lot of teachers can't. So insofar as, or in as much as the mayor has power to do anything about that, I mean, does the mayor have any power to do anything about that other than influence?
Well, but here's what the mayor can do.
Yes.
That we're not getting. One, the schools are in our city. Now, look, there are things that are unique to our situation that I haven't seen in other places. Again, the mayor has no formal management of the schools.
Correct.
And our school choice is so broad. So the regional school choice is so broad that you can draw people away in different ways in a way that other jurisdictions have. But here's where the role we can play. The first thing should be, again, earlier I was talking about what it means about that collaboration coordination across jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. I think that when I'm mayor, there will have to be a regular, meeting with school superintendent and the school board. And what I've said is, in the lease, the city's agenda should always include funding increases that the school board is asking for. Whatever else I go up to the state legislature with, I definitely should have as part of my agenda fully funding the schools. Mm-hmm. That's even if I don't even meet with the school board.
Yeah.
That is where that should be the first thing.
I agree.
The second thing is in that relationship, in that ongoing conversation, then we could include in the city's legislative agenda and federal agenda any of the things that the school system that we agree that we want to carry extra support for. We need to have that as a part of the city's intergovernmental relations push. And again, you only learn that by, so for instance, I could imagine at a federal level, the full service community schools grants. These are the grants that come out of the Department of Education that helps you provide supplemental supports for mental health and health.
If we have a Department of Education.
If we have one, yeah. So the question is, you know, those are the kinds of things that the mayor should carry water for.
Yeah.
Wherever you go.
Yeah.
In federal, state. And so I would make that commitment to the Minneapolis schools. But then this is the biggest piece. Look, Minneapolis schools also, they are, and this is schools everywhere, by the way, it's not just Minneapolis schools, but everyone has to, all these schools have to try to operate with the conditions their students are living in. You know, what kids are bringing in. They're bringing in hunger, if they're bringing unstable housing, if they're bringing in, you know, mental health. Schools have to try to, and so the role that the city can be is to be a resource, an investment in the quality of life of children. Look, UNICEF has designated us a child-friendly city. It's a very superficial designation. It's only because they're looking at, you know, how many parks we have, how many.
Yeah, we have a lot of parks. That's great. That's awesome.
And even some of the programs. But what I'm saying is, we need to really, you know, take that seriously.
Yeah.
And do the kinds of investment. I'll give you an example too. One of the things that we can do right away. I was talking to the principal of Roosevelt High, and
Christian Ledesma.
Yes. And I was asking,
that's my community school.
Oh,
so,
okay, yeah. So I was talking to him. I said, you know,
he's great.
And you know how candidates do. You say, well, what you know, thinking, you say, well, what is your biggest need, or what's going on? And I'll never forget the first thing he said to me had nothing to do, you know, of course, all of the challenges with school, but he said, we're doing well, and my students are doing well. And I said, oh, and he started to explain why, and he said something so powerful. He said, you know, there's a public library across the street.
There is.
And
steps away.
Yeah. And so, you know, I don't know, I haven't talked to the library, but I want, you know, certainly they be like, you know, we're across the street from a bunch of kids. But that library did something very intentional. It created real third space. For students.
Sure.
And so there's a range of options for young people at that school. Homework help, you know, just places to hang out, just engagement, and a real sense that you are welcome here.
Sure.
And not that you are a nuisance and that we don't. And he said that the impact on his students, especially immigrant students, has been just amazing.
Yeah.
And so my point is, why can't the city be a source of this kind of support for schools, resourcing and identifying third spaces, using the neighborhood associations? I'm thinking about Tangletown, which has a very active neighborhood association that really is focused on support for the children.
Yeah. Because you got Justice Page and Washburn right there.
Yeah. Just that.
Yeah.
So my point is, why don't we look at around the city and begin to work with the libraries and work with the neighbors and start saying, okay, we are going to be the source of, and those are not big dollars.
No, right.
Those are not big dollars.
Right.
But we can say we're going to be the source of support, of third space, of facilitating it, so we can take some of the burden off you on trying to respond or trying to think or trying to, and you can put your focus on all that has to happen during the school day, and then we can be in ways trying to help the students be the kind of students that are ready to learn when they show up.
Sure.
But the investment goes on. When I moved in my neighborhood in North Minneapolis, the first thing I noticed that we had several rental houses there. It was at least 3. Now it's down to 1, but there were 3 when I got there. And just about every 3 months, it would be turnover in who's renting.
Sure.
And most often there were school-age children.
Yeah.
And that kind of instability.
Yeah.
That kind of, who cannot sort of let the neighborhood school be their school.
Yeah.
We've got to invest in stable housing.
Yeah.
So that we can give kids that stability. And then the neighborhood school can be their neighborhood, and we get that security. But also, again, another thing is what the city can do. The city should, I think, make just schools all over the city the location for city activity. City work, city meetings, city conferencing.
Civic engagement.
Yeah, so that people can see the schools and have the neighborhood school as a part of their, even if they don't have children, as a part of their understanding that the schools are a part of and I think create that kind of connection to the school for people who may not even have, but we should be in the business of featuring and highlighting and being a location for the city work so people can get a sense of our schools.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
I know. I feel like I do have about 16 other things on my spreadsheet. But when after you're elected mayor, you got to come back. And
all right,
so I can talk about the 16 other things.
But what's the fun thing that you got to do that I can do right quick?
Okay, great. So we do. Some might call it a bit, but we'll run through it really quick. It's a segment. It's called
BooMTimeS.
It's called BooMTimeS.
BooMTimeS.
It's all capital letters.
Oh, okay.
Books,
I think I heard you say that.
Music, TV, movies, and sports. BooMTimeS.
I would like to name the vowels. Like books, only often movies. TV, immensely, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I haven't come up with it's been a year of this podcast.
We've been doing this for over a year now. But we call the segment BooMTimeS. It's about those things, but it's also about anything that that you've been consuming lately that you've liked, whether it be TV shows or any of the BooMTimeS thing or anything else.
Podcasts that you listen to while you're walking.
Yeah. Yes. But we're thrilled to be able to have you on the BooMTimeS segment.
Welcome to BooMTimeS, a segment called BooMTimeS.
Do you have anything for BooMTimeS? Do you want one of us to start off?
I mean, I'm always consuming.
Yeah, sure.
So what do I start? Books.
You don't have to do one for each.
Yeah.
No. Just one thing, maybe two things.
Okay. Well, I'm an avid reader, and I try to get reading before. That's why I stay up so late. I read a nonfiction and a fiction. So right now, the fiction I'm reading is King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby.
Okay. You love S.A. Cosby.
I do too.
I have on BooMTimeS.
Yes.
I have shouted out S.A. Cosby.
Yep.
That's the only one of his books I have not read.
I'm reading. It's new, and this book I've read. What was the one? Razorblade Tears.
Razorblade Tears,
which was really
Is that the car one? Anyway,
no, that's the one with the son got killed.
Yes, where the son got killed.
Yeah.
Yes.
But King of Ashes. He goes hard right away.
Does he? Oh, I love it.
It's just
I love it. It's so engrossing. I feel like everyone should be made into a movie.
I know. And that's what I'm ready to get. So anyway, King of Ashes is really good. Yeah. And I read a nonfiction. I'm reading a new book called Backlash Presidents by Julia Azari, whose thesis is that we've had only what she describes as 3 racially transformative presidencies, but they always end up with a backlash president.
Can I guess the 3?
Go ahead and guess.
LBJ.
Yes.
Lincoln.
Yes.
Come on, dude.
What am I? Obama?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking policy-wise. Not.
You're thinking way too hard about this one.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then she's really going into deep, like what made them racially transformative, and some you can guess, some.
Yeah.
But then the backlash president that came afterward, and so again we know Andrew Johnson,
Nixon,
and now Trump.
And this guy.
Yeah. So
interesting.
That sounds like a good book.
And I'm only in chapter 2. We're getting into the Lincoln stuff.
Because each one of the earmuffs this if you're going to disagree with me, but each one of those Backlash Presidents are awful. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's interesting.
So it's not a big book, but I'm really enjoying it. So that's, but also music again.
Don't steal my thunder here.
No,
my thunder. We have the same thunder this week.
Okay,
No. I was listening to. You probably even know the group. I'm a big fan of Agnes Obel.
I don't know what that means.
Is
that a person?
It's a group.
Oh, okay.
Say it one more time.
Agnes Obel.
Agnes Obel. I'm going to be looking it up.
It's progressive.
Okay.
You know. But I watched that documentary on rumors, so I've been listening to rumors.
Oh,
FleetWood Mac rumors.
Okay.
I've been just listening back and forth. I'm actually going on a friend's show at KFAI who does a music show on Friday mornings, and so he's asking for a list of songs that were important to me.
We have are you familiar? Do you know D.A. Bullock?
I do.
Yeah, he was a guest on our podcast.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's got a show on KFAI on Tuesday mornings. Yeah.
So, but I was thinking about that. Music, I grew up Pentecostal.
Sure.
And, even a father who's a blues guitarist really didn't want us listening to secular music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
but B.B. King was okay.
So, but my music taste just runs the gamut.
Sure.
So when I was putting this together, he saw Fleetwood Mac and Pink Floyd. And then he saw Luther Vandross and Marvin Gaye.
Sure.
He's like, what?
Never too much.
He's like, what is going on with you with this movement of music? But anyway, but just been enjoying rumors again. I
Nice.
think that's
the rediscovery of a classic.
I mean, I listen to it all regularly, but when just to get in the story behind, just even the idea that the Chain, they weren't even in the studio together when they recorded that.
Because they hated each other?
Yeah, they did their pieces.
Yeah.
And then
that was probably, they were ahead of their time because that is how most music is recorded nowadays.
Well, that's fascinating because they couldn't, they were just fed up.
Yeah.
And they did their individual pieces. And now, that song is just like, wow, how did you...
Some good BooMTimeS content there, Dr. Davis. That's good. We want to probably talk about the same thing.
So, R.I.P. the GOAT and the legend D'Angelo.
He died
yesterday.
Records on repeat, and I was a musician for a very long time, and had the honor of working with people that worked with D'Angelo and played in his group, and he was like, I never did it, but I'm gonna do it now. He was the reason I wanted to buy a Fender Rhodes.
Oh, really?
And this is not a Rhodes. This is the cheap knockoff Custom 88 because it's got a flat top and it can put stuff on it. But I wanted to buy a really nice Fender Rhodes and learn how to play the piano like D'Angelo and sing with that soul and just and I've never done it, but my life's only about a little more than halfway over.
Don't hold your breath. I don't think it's going to happen.
And
you're going to sound like D'Angelo.
Yeah, dude.
Sure.
I got chops.
Yeah.
I don't have the abs.
I saw
Neither
D'Angelo and Mary J. Blige way back.
Did you?
In D.C.
In 2013, Questlove and D'Angelo did a 6 dates. Mm-hmm. That's it, something like that, around the country. And they came to First Avenue in Minneapolis, and we were one of the cities that they chose to come to because of Prince. Because Questlove and D'Angelo are the world's biggest Prince fans. And I was at that concert. I'll never forget it. And it was magical. And they didn't really have a plan. They just kind of riffed, and one would start a song and they would sing it, and
that's how good they were.
They just knew it. And they would finish each other's thoughts. And D'Angelo, I don't have the musical connection that Casey does, but his 2000 album Voodoo, he only put out 3 albums in a career that lasted 30 years. But and they're all great, but his 2000 album Voodoo that was done at Electric Ladyland Studios in New York with production by Questlove and Jay Dilla, and Raphael Sadiq was in there, and Method Man and Redman. and Erykah Badu was hanging around.
Yeah.
And that album is like one of my favorite albums ever. I listen to it. Every time I listen to it, I hear something new. I hear different sounds. I hear different chord progressions and chord changes and lyrics, and I just love it. And I'm really sad.
And
I'm really bummed.
To pull it back to Minnesota, one of D'Angelo's now iconic performances is him singing "Sometimes It Snows in April" to commemorate the passing
on late night
of Prince. Yeah, now that
I don't think I've seen
who's going to sing it for him.
Yeah. Who's going to sing it for him, and what do they sing?
Yeah. So shout out D'Angelo.
Shout out D'Angelo. Like it bums me out. And next year we get to deal with the 10th anniversary of Prince's death.
And
that's right.
No BooMTimeS. November 4th. Is that the date?
That's the date.
That's the date. Get to the polls.
Yeah.
Get to the polls.
Yeah,
Get to the polls.
That's it.
Rank
November
me one.
4th.
Ranked choice voting in Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Yeah.
Ranked choice voting.
Yes. And if you don't know, now you know.
Thank you.
Until next week.
Thank you.
This must be the place. Yeah, this must be the place.